live, live with Tao. Samadhi Day, Naqshbandi Sheikh, Brij Mohan Lal. We have to understand certain things relating to the life of an awakened one. And what is Samadhi? Religion is total freedom, and this freedom cannot happen without surrender. So I am speaking of two words, freedom and surrender. Doesn't these seem to be contradictory to you? These two words, freedom and surrender, to stay simultaneously appears to be contradictory. They are not. Instead, they appear to be contradictory to one another because of the language. Existentially, surrender and freedom are not separate. This we have to understand. Try to understand two things. You cannot be free as you are, because as such as you exist, or as a man exists, he exists as ego, as bondage. He exists as a bondage. Ego is his bondage. And you can be free only when ego point disappears. Ego is the bondage. So when the life of a person begins, he comes as an embodiment of ego. There is a bondage. So he cannot surrender. And then freedom cannot be attained. And when freedom is not there, the life is not that of an awakening, and then it cannot be said, his final descent cannot be celebrated as Samadhi Day. Samadhi comes from the two words sam and dhi, a state of innerness which is equanimity. Equanimity under all circumstances and situations. Equanimity amidst the duality. And this clarion call of beyond duality is the sound of Shiva's Damru, the shape of it, hourglass shape. Two sides. This is the state of duality. So the birth of Sheikh Brij Mohan Lal was the outcome of the prayers of Sheikh Hazrat Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. The birth. Usually the normal case, as an individual you cannot choose your parents. So, but the one who has lived his life full of awareness has freedom that he can choose his next birth. So it was already decided, the beingness, the existence has assumed the environment. And then, for instance, it is something like this: you are planning to visit a tourist spot. You want to make sure the place where you are staying, all the facilities are suitable to you. The hotel accommodation, the place where you stay, the people, the company who will guide you to different tourist spots. So for that very reason, the one who has to, the soul has to enter into life, has chosen it. So it is, now question comes, can soul choose? These things happen in such a way, at a certain plane, that language cannot understand, and in order to explain we have to say that he has chosen it. Then there has to be some medium to act, to make that plan happen that way. You have chosen that, you have decided to go to visit a particular tourist place or somewhere else, then you have to make arrangement. So the arrangement is made through the connection, and this we know in the modern terminology. So in that case, in the birth of Sheikh Brij Mohan Lal, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu became that connection between the beingness of Sheikh Brij Mohan Lal and his new birth. So the one that we know, I told you the plan behind this, but on the surface it happened that the Chachaji, the Sheikh Raghuvar Dayal, younger brother of Lalaji, did not have any children. And it was the belief of Hindus that if the parents go with a desire to have a child at Rameshwaram, the place where, that is at the southernmost tip of India, where Ram established the Shivling and prayed before entering Lanka to fight the demon, the Ravan. So that is considered as a holy place. So the time when it was Raghuvar Dayal's in-laws, they were planning on taking the couple to that place for the prayers so that a child, they are blessed with a child. Same time, the Sheikh of Lalaji, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, happened to arrive at the residence without any pre-planning. Seeing all these arrangements, he asked, what is this going on? At this, Lalaji, with tears in his eyes, tears of gratitude for his master, that my younger brother Nanne does not have any children, so his in-laws are taking them to Rameshwaram for prayers. At this, Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan said, ask for some water in a cup. And he said, the God that is there is here also. Uski kudrat महदूद नहीं है, means the greatness or his energy field is not confined to any particular place or particular place. It is spread over the entire cosmos. Yet still we consider the shrines as the holy places, as if the entire energy field of that particular master is confined only to that space. The moment one enters into Samadhi, or the wave merges back into the ocean. Wave exists as an individual wave on the surface. You can see the wave, but the moment the wave dissolves in the ocean, it becomes completely oceanic. The moment an individual or an awakened one enters into Mahasamadhi, he becomes cosmic. His energy field is spread all over the entire cosmos, but yet is still out of asinine wisdom and ignorance. We consider the shrines as the only place where the energy field is confined of that, and there is a tradition of visiting those places. Nothing is wrong, but if you go there with that understanding that the energy field of that awakened one is only confined to this place, this is ignorance. It is spread all over the place. So these places like shrines or the place, the room or the becomes the holy places, and people start visiting them, and this is the tradition that goes on. So water was brought for Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. He cast his glance over it and asked Lalaji to take this water to give it to the daughter-in-law or to the daughter, as he used to call Nanne's concert. What did he do at that time? Eyes are the source of the energy. If your inner instruments are in tune with one another, it is like the eye of the camera. If the aperture, eyes are the aperture of the being, of the soul, if everything is in order, its focal point is everything, the moment the aperture, the button is clicked, the aperture opens, the light comes out of the camera aperture, goes to the object, captures it and brings it back. So eyes are the greatest source of transfer of energy field. It is the energy. The moment Master Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan looked at the water, all his instruments, inner instruments, the nafs, the qalb, and everything are in harmony with one another. First the harmony within, and then harmony with the existence, the cosmic field. And in that very moment, the light, something came out of his eyes that is invisible, that energized the water. It is said in Japan there is a particular scientist, his name is Tomato. He said water absorbs the energy. As such, water has the energy on the scale of 0 to 10, 2. If you hold the water in your hand and look at it, its energy level can be increased. When a person like Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan held the water in his hand, it is harmony, the two sides, two hands, symbolic of the merger of the left and the right sides. The anima and animus, the Shiva and Shakti are united. And the metal bowl is, being the conductor of that energy, absorbed the energy that was coming through the union of the two existential elements, Shiva and Shakti. Through his hand, the energy field was transferred through the bowl being the conductor of electricity, it transferred to the water. Second, the strongest energy that went through the eyes because of the union, because of the confluence of, it became the confluence where the two sources, the nafs and kalb, nafs and the jazb, jazb and suluk, the two rivers, two streams, and then the invisible divine current. The three merged into one another. There was a confluence of jazb, suluk, and invisible divine current. And that radiated through his eyes and went into the water. The water was energized to infinite level. It does happen. If you try to do it, it can be done. I know, I have done it, and I know. And with that, so it has been energized for a particular purpose. So there is a slight difference here. That was done for the overall well-being of the mother and that divine consciousness to descend into the womb of Jaydev, of Chachaji's concert in the mother, and it happened. Thereafter it was a fear that there is a miscarriage. The message was sent by Lalaji through a person who was a servant but lived in the family as a part of the family, and everybody used to respect him as uncle. Uncle Chittar Kahar, Chittar Kaka. Through him, the distance between the place where Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan was staying and Fatehgarh, where Lalaji was staying, was of 3 miles. He went with the message of Lalaji on feet and returned with the message from Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. When God has accepted the prayer of his Asi Purmosi Bande, then there should be no fear of any kind. I'll be blessed with a grandchild, and I name him Brij Mohan Lal. That's how his life came into existence. Out of the blessings, out of the free will of the being that Brij Mohan Lal was, and to materialize that birth into the world, because that time the soul cannot work on its own, it can make a decision, but then the arrangement has to be made with the people. When you are visiting somebody, suppose you are visiting my place, I have to make all the arrangements for your stay, make sure that your room is properly arranged, is clean, all the other facilities. So this is what had happened at that time through the presence of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, and it continued. His birth was from the very beginning for a specific purpose. So his upbringing was at the command of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. One day while playing with the child, with Brij Mohan Lal, he told Lalaji, Bhai Puttu Lalji, the physical, the worldly and spiritual upbringing of this child is in your hands. When God will ask me what did I bring from the world, is you and him I will present as my gift to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So that is he was born out of his own free will, and he has to attain the freedom from the body and the bondage, So his life was that of a total surrender. Surrender to the will of the masters, surrender to the divine will. And he was brought up by Lalaji. Thereafter it happened in December. The Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan has entered into Samadhi. So his fellow disciple Shah Abdul Ghani Khan of Bhogaon was the current master, although it is said that is by these certain sects that the younger brother of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan, Sufi Vilayat Khan, was his Khalifa. But according to Naqshbandi Tariqat, it was Shah Abdul Ghani Khan, because Abdul Ghani and Fazl Ahmad Khan both were disciple of Khalifa Sahab Maulana Ahmad Ali Khan Razillah Ta'ala Anhu. So in the Shajra Sharif, the name of Ya Ilahi Fazl se de mujhko Faiz Ahmadi, Ram Fazli or Ragwar Baata ke vaste, the two names are put together, Ram Fazli and Ragwar Baata. Ram Fazli, Fazli means pure, and also it refers to Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan. And Ragwar Baata ke vaste, या इलाही अपनी अजमत से दे मुझको नूर, या इलाही अपनी अजमत से दे मुझको. The names of Maulana Fazl Ahmad Khan and Shah Abdul Ghani Khan also comes together in that Shajra Sharif. So in the month of Brij, Mohan Lal was still a young boy. There was a function, the annual congregation, spiritual congregation known as in Urdu terminology as Urs, took place in December month at the place of Maulana Abdul Ghani Khan. That was a spiritual gathering. Maulana Abdul Ghani Khan appeared on the podium or came to the place, satsang, in front, wearing the same cap that was given to him at the time of initiation by Maulana Ahmad Ali Khan Razillah Ta'ala Anhu. And he called for Brij Mohan Lal. Lala ji, Chacha ji and Brij Mohan Lal came along with that. He took off the cap that was on the head of Brij Mohan Lal and instead took off the cap that he was wearing and put it on the head of Brij Mohan Lal. With this, it is like a very strong voltage of energy has come into him. And then it happens sometimes, if a high voltage current comes into your electrical appliance, which it is not capable of, although it is made in such a way that it can bear the fluctuations up to a certain percentage. That is why it is set 220, 240 voltage in Indian terminology, and in the Western terminology 110, 120. So the fluctuation limit is 10% below and 10% above. But when the cap was put, it is an infinite energy surged into Brij Mohan Lal and he became unconscious. So Lalaji and Chachaji both got worried. At this, Maulana Abdul Ghani Khan said, ये मरेगा नहीं, इसकी इजाज़त वह भी है. He will not die. Ijazat means this opportunity of granting him that status is divine. It is not my own. Intuitively, this is intuitively, it is destined to happen. He is destined to be the Khalifa, to carry on the flame of divinity through him. And after some time, but Maulana Abdul Ghani Khan kept his head on to his lap, and Lalaji putting the head on his lap and continued to fan him. After some time, the situation normaled, and the strong surge of the energy that had happened at that time, or tawajjuh, the energy field that flowed through Brij Mohan Lal, normalized, and everything became normal. Since then, the relationship between Brij Mohan Lal and Abdul Ghani Khan entered into a new dimension. And officially, Lalaji could have initiated, but he left for Maulana Abdul Ghani Khan to do that process, and the journey continued. It is not possible to explain everything in one session, so I'll continue in the subsequent sessions tomorrow again. So enough for now, in continuation of the Samadhi day of Brij Mohan Lal. So enough for this morning.